And now is their opportunity to make their final presentations. And if I could ask Sam, we're going in reverse order to the way they made their opening statements. So I could ask Sam to make his closing statement.
Thank you. Well, firstly, I'd like to thank the organisers for this fantastic event. I've really enjoyed it. I hope you all have as well. Now...
Thank you. Thank you. They're all out there.
Now, I occasionally lecture at universities to engineering students, and one of the things I lecture them on is when they go into industry, the first thing to do is read the rules on what you're having to do, what the project is, or the racing series they're going into, or the pitch they're making. And once you've finished reading the rules, the second thing to do when you read the rules is read them again. I didn't read the rules of this evening, and I didn't prepare a 4-minute statement, so I'm not going to keep seeing the talk about so I'm going to be quite quick on this. Now, we've heard a lot of different views tonight, some of them strongly held, and it's been a very entertaining exchange of ideas and views. But for me, that's what this is all about. That is the exercise we have to do here. You get, as a politician, you have to listen to views that you might not agree with. I haven't agreed with everything Kay said, or Bim or Sid. But some of them have made good points, stuff to take away, stuff to think about, stuff to work on, stuff to take action on. And that's what I hope to be doing for you, starting in just over a week's time, somewhere in London, which means I'll have to start commuting again, which I'm definitely not looking forward to, because I'll be on the train with the rest of you, standing up. Late, again. But that's the whole point of this. Because I'm there, I'll be there with you. I'll be by your side, working for you, listening to you and fighting for you. Because I'll be there as your local MP first and foremost. It won't be that I'm a Liberal Democrat MP. I'll be the Hitchin and Harpenden MP. I'll be the Rothamsted MP. I'll be the Jersey Farm MP. I'll be the St Hippolyte's MP, the Preston MP, the Breachwood Green MP, and all the little hamlets like Peters Green scattered throughout this constituency, which I've been driving to and walking to over the last few weeks repeatedly. I will be representing every single one of you. Now, you might not agree with all of my views. You might not agree with me on Brexit. You might not agree with everything I want to do on climate change. It might make your lives a little bit more difficult. But that's what I want to be doing. I want you to be telling me what to do. I want you to be feeding into me the whole time. So if I'm elected as your MP next week, expect to knock on the door, because you will be hearing from me. I will be coming to your doorstep and asking you your views if you don't tell me. I will be coming round. And I've knocked on thousands of your doors already. And you've been telling me a great amount of stuff. And we need to continue that process on. We need an MP who represents our area, who listens to you and is working for you first and foremost. And that is what I want to do for you. So please, if you like the sound of that, vote Liberal Democrat this time next week. Perhaps a bit early because the polls might have shut by now.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you, Sam and Sid. Sam was 1.5 minutes short of time, so if you can equal that, that would be fantastic.
Okay. Well, whether you like it or not, we are a party of principle, and our principles are clear, and I believe our principles are right. Number one, for Brexit, we have to uphold democracy. And it's very, very dangerous to defy a democratic decision, however that decision was made. You may say, we should never have had a referendum. I'm sure many of you sitting here would say, we should never have had a referendum. Strange that Nick Clegg was actually calling for a referendum. But it's after, given that we've actually had a referendum, we have to implement that result. Now, the Christian People's Alliance policy is to have a second referendum 5 to 10 years after we've left. And the reason for that is because at that point there will be evidence as to what's happened. And we believe we can make a success of leaving the European Union. But if we're wrong, we should actually have the democratic position where people can see, oh dear, it's been a disaster, we've got to reverse it. What we can't do is have a second referendum before we've implemented the first. Because if we have a second referendum before we've implemented the first, it'll just be conjecture with no evidence. One side saying, oh, it'll be fantastic. The other side saying, oh, it'll be a disaster. We've had that debate. The debate decided to leave. So the first thing is Brexit, uphold democracy. The second thing is strengthen marriage and the family, which I talked about at the beginning. And I talked about exactly what we want to do to strengthen marriage and the family. As predicted, it hasn't been discussed in the question and answer session, but it is a major issue. The third thing is protecting life from conception till natural death. It's interesting, some of you are hissing. Now, you see, no, it's not anti-women. It's what your position of decriminalising abortion is anti-child. Because if you decriminalise abortion, it says in the Labour manifesto they're going to decriminalise abortion. They were asked by the Catholic Herald, what does this mean? They agreed it means that it will be legal to kill a baby up to birth. Okay, you tell me, what does decriminalising abortion mean then? Up to birth. Yes. Access to abortions up to birth, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, up to what point then does it? You see, the Lib Dem manifesto says they will decriminalise abortion up to 24 weeks.
It is already decriminalised up to 24 weeks, apart from in Northern
No, it's not. No, it's not.
Have to go across the border into ERA to get access to a safe.
No, it's not. At the moment, there are rules relating to abortion, including counselling, including 2 doctors.
You have 30 seconds to finish.
Okay. Well, we believe in protecting the unborn child. You see, you can cheer as much as you like, and you can cheer as much as you like, but we will not stop standing for the unborn child. We will not stop standing for the protection of life, because this is a principle. And those of you who are not clapping will understand what these people who are clapping want. They want the killing of unborn children up to birth, and that is what the Labour manifesto says. That is what it says.
Okay.
And fourth, we stand for fair tax and caring for the poor.
Okay.
And we stand for fighting crime.
Thank you.
And these principles we will always stand for, because they are Christian principles.
Thank you.
New Age liberals hate them.
Thank you.
But we will not stop standing for them.
Thank you
Be
very
clear
much,
on
Sid.
that.
Thank you, Sid. Thank you, Sid. Right. Right. Okay.
Well,
order restored. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm with you on fighting crime. Look, I thought I'd bring up a couple of things that we may not have heard so much on tonight, but I've heard speaking to many residents over the last few weeks, many hundreds, if not thousands. The first is education. It came up a little bit. My very first speech in Parliament was on education. It was about the importance of education and how we need to improve things in our schools. Yes, we need more funding. We are getting more funding for schools through this government. In this constituency, the average increase is about just over 4.6%. That money, and that's year 1, year 2, and year 3 will be in similar size. I think that's very important. Secondly, one thing we haven't heard about too much this evening is business, local business, and the economy of this country. I was speaking in Southdown to a shop owner who was talking about the impact of business rates on his business. It's a system that's been there for a very long time. It raises about 30 billion for the Exchequer. That's why the Treasury doesn't want to get rid of it. We've committed to a review of it because we fundamentally need to restructure business rates, because the health of our high street, whether it be in Harpenden or the town centre in Hitchin, is dependent upon our small retailers being able to make a living. And I think that is something that I will fight for and continue to fight for if re-elected. And the third thing I'd like to talk about is the environment and how everybody says nice things about the environment. Every single person will say, look, I want to do more for the environment. Practically, how are we going to do that? I will come up with a couple of steps that I will push for. The first is to increase the incentives for electric car take-up at the same time as increasing energy generation, because if you have many more electric cars, you're going to need more energy. And I think that we are going to need to do that. And that's something we can do locally as well. The second thing, though, is we need to fundamentally embed climate policy in our governmental structure, in the Treasury. It needs to be seen as a potential benefit, not just as a potential cost, and that's what I will also be fighting for. And I'll just finish by saying this. It is such a pleasure such an honour to have been your MP for the last couple of years. I've worked as hard as I possibly can. I've done my best. Sometimes you wouldn't have liked my position on different things, but I've done my absolute best to represent you as best I can, because this system, and it goes back to the question the lady asked about voting systems earlier, this system works when an individual MP listens to and works for their constituents. That's what I've tried to do, and that's what I will continue to do if re-elected. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ben. And Kay.
Thank you. I'm sorry we've reversed the order, but I needed a minute to calm down.
Thank you, Ben,
for me, the reason I'm standing is because I really, really believe that we need a change. We need a big change. We need what I believe we need is transformative policy that will make a big difference to the lives of everyday people, not those at the top who really don't need the help. And so what we're planning is big and it is transformational, and it's unlike anything we've had before, but it will make a massive, massive difference to those who need it, the 99%, not the 1%. For me, as I said at the beginning, it was education that brought me to politics, and it is education I'm going to finish on to a certain extent. We started a campaign in June of 2016, and we asked BIM to support us, and he didn't. And I'm afraid Sam didn't get involved either. We didn't have an event. What we did was started a group, and then you didn't back it. So I'm a doer, and I want to get things done, and that's why I started that group and why I've been pushing for change. And I think it's important that when you have a member of parliament, they are somebody who actually does what it says on the tin. And you can't talk the talk and not walk the walk. I think it's important that we do it the other way around, and that's what I will do. I don't want to be a career politician. I want to be a constituency MP who works hard for her constituents, in her constituency. I live in Hitchin. I don't have any plans to have a flat in London. I will also commute. I think it's really important that the people that represent us come from our communities, because that is the only way we can ensure that the decisions that are made in Parliament will benefit our local communities. And that is what I want to do. I want to be that voice for you in Parliament. And I hope that when you get to the ballot box on the 12th of December, you will think very carefully about who is best placed to win in this constituency. This has been a Conservative stronghold for a very, very long time. And for the first time in decades, we actually have an opportunity for change. And it's time for change. I think it's time for a Labour government, and I really hope you'll vote Labour on the 12th of December.
Thank you very much, Kay. And thank you to the candidates. It's been a long evening for, well, all of us, but particularly for the candidates who've endured nearly 2.5 hours, so they've done exceptionally well. Can I thank the candidates for their contributions for such an informative, spirited, yet good-natured, well, generally good-natured evening. So can I ask everyone puts their hand together to thank the candidates in the traditional manner? Can I thank all of you who have attended and participated in this important evening for our democracy, and to everyone who's asked questions both in advance and from the floor. In particular, can I thank the members of the committee of the Harpenden Society who have undertaken all the stewarding roles and helped organise this evening's event. Thank you very much, everyone. Right, now a plug. The Society plays an important role in the civic life of our community. It's important that as many residents as possible take part by participating in events and by joining. There is a membership table and there are membership leaflets on the seats and around the auditorium. We hope as many of you who are not members sign up this evening. As an incentive for everyone who does sign up tonight, there is a chance to win a splendid Christmas hamper. And there are buckets if you want to make a small contribution towards the cost of tonight's event. So it only remains for me to thank everyone again, the candidates and you, the audience, for taking part tonight, and I wish everyone a safe journey home. Many thanks and good night. And